Russ Niles reporting for AVweb and AVweb Biz at EBACE 2008 in Geneva. Doing the show closer with Liz Moskrop of Flight Evening News and also our European correspondent. A few days ago we made some bold predictions. Liz, how did we do?
We did okay. There was a massive order. We did predict big orders. There was a massive order from VistaJet, of course, which took 1.3 billion, I think, of Bombardier aircraft. Plus, it bought Bombardier Skyjet. So but what we're hearing from the floor is that orders are slowing down a little bit. Perhaps that's to do with the massive backlogs. Perhaps it's to do with the weaker dollar. But there is a little bit of a slowdown. It's patchy. Mixed reports, I think, so far.
Speaking of backlog, I've heard that people ordering certain aircraft today won't be seeing them until like 2016. What does that do to the market?
One thing that's an interesting development is there are several companies now offering things, for example, like CRJ 200 conversions. We have a company, Tailwind Capital, is here with its new product, the Hemisphere 200XR, and what they've done is they've bought Bombardier CRJ 200s and they have them in the PATS completion center now, and they are delivering them as configured, what is effectively a Challenger 850. So that's one way of leapfrogging the market too, and to get a position on an executive aircraft. And of course what we're also seeing is some of the US airlines cutting back. We're seeing some of those 50-seater regional jets now coming into the marketplace. So that might be something to watch for future, as a future trend.
But there's nothing like that new airplane smell, and we saw some new hardware unveiled here this week too.
We did. We finally got names too for the new Embraer aircraft, the mid-light jet and the mid-size jet, which are now officially the Legacy 450 and the Legacy 500. So that was very exciting when we saw that mock-up unveiled here for the first time in Europe.
Hawker Beechcraft, it's almost like they're a new company. Their presence here, the level of activity at their booth, they had a big announcement as well.
They did. They brought the Premier 2. They announced the Premier 2, rather. And they have just had so much activity. They are a much bigger presence. They're a much bigger booth here. They're much bigger on the static. There's been a lot of interest, a lot of activity, a lot of buzz around Hawker Beechcraft's booth.
Okay, well, EBACE 2008 is just about history. And do we have any sort of closing comments on the state of the industry and what we might be seeing in 2009?
Well, one thing I do want to mention too is we have the Cirrus new SR22 G3 with the perspective cockpit. That's been fascinating. What we're seeing in 2009, I think we're seeing perhaps a slowdown in the bigger orders as we've got to see how the industry copes with deliveries, but there are also, I think we watch the emerging markets, because one thing of the impact of the weaker US dollar means that it is effectively cheaper to buy aircraft for European and people in Europe and emerging markets, for particularly Europe. So it's still, watch this space. It's not looking as though it's going to be a terrible dip, but yeah, perhaps not quite as huge and booming as it has been in the past couple of shows.
Always a pleasure, and we'll talk to you next year.
Shall we go and have that drink at the Bombardier party, Russ?
I think you could twist my arm.